Hi guys, my name is Ginger Franklin. Today I am going to tell you everything that I know about seeing everything Christy in Tennessee. So in case you don't know what Christy is, just real quick, it was a show that was made in the 1990s. It starred Kellie Martin, Tyne Daly, Randall Battenkoff, and Stuart Finley McLennan. Anyways, I'm a huge fan of the show. It was based on a book by Catherine Marshall. She was a Christian author. It was a book based on her mom's life. And so it was kind of a true story, kind of a fiction story too. So if you're a fan of the Christy series, tell me whether you like the preacher or the doctor better in the comments below. And I will reveal who my favorite character is at the end of this video. So let's get started. When I first got to Tennessee, I really had no idea where any of the Christy stuff was. I heard that some of it was filmed in Great Smoky Mountain National Park, and some of it was filmed in, I heard about Del Rio. I didn't realize that that's where the book was based and not the movie. So it was really confusing, but I kept researching and I kept finding different things out. In case you've heard of Christy Fest, like if you look it up, you're going to eventually come across Christy Fest. The last one they had was in 2015. So I don't think they do that anymore, but it was literally a labor of love. Like, all these women got together and they put time and money, and they weren't getting anything for it, just to kind of celebrate the show. They felt like it was worth it because one of those production companies canceled this show kind of mysteriously, and I don't really know if some people consider the movies like really an ending to the show. But anyways, I wanted to see where the show was filmed and where the book was based, and so here's what I did and what you should, or what I know about it that you can add to your knowledge or just get you started if you don't really have any idea. So the first place we went was Townsend. It's where most of the show was filmed at, and it's a very peaceful, very, very beautiful place. We went to the visitor center in Townsend, and you should go there first probably. Because they do have sort of a display on the wall. There's like a replica of the church, and there's like a poster. Well, there's actually two posters, like of Christy. So, there's a little bit of memorabilia there at the visitor center, but the woman behind the desk, she didn't really know much about the show, so she directed us to the Heritage Center. That's where we went next, and the guy behind the desk there knew a whole lot more about it. And so he was able to kind of tell me what he knew. Unfortunately, all of the set, what still exists of the sets from the show are all on private property. So it would not be legal to go on the property to see like the church. But I found a Facebook post, and it was actually, I think in 2020, somebody moved to Townsend and they literally saw the church from the road. I did not do this. I did not realize it could be seen from the road, and I didn't exactly know how far down that road you have to go. But I think you should definitely, if you want to at least just see the church, you should definitely drive down there. So in Townsend, the guy behind the desk, he couldn't really do anything for me as far as, set stuff. I know one of the directors of the show recently passed away, and he left them a lot of memorabilia. Well, I say a lot, mostly like scripts and stuff from what he told me. He was actually able to show me some pictures that they had in storage, but I think they might be putting those on display sometime soon. So I'm sure if they have a Christy exhibit in that little museum at the Heritage Center, I'm sure he would be able to tell you before you bought a ticket to go see it or paid admission to go see the museum. He did direct me to Look Rock, and this is in Foothills Parkway. And Look Rock is where Christy was at in some of the scenes in the show, or Kellie Martin, I should say, was sat, and I think different actors at different times, they went and they sat, and there was like this gorgeous view from Look Rock. It's beautiful. You should go see it if you love Christy. They did build a huge platform onto the rock. This was very disappointing because I wanted to be able to sit there the way that Kellie Martin had and look out at the view. But no, they built a huge platform to keep people from falling off the rock. But I did actually find this little trail that went sort of into the woods, down like the concrete pathway, and it went to another like little rock area. I found another rock.
You know what, Ginger, hold on.
And this one I'm sitting on. And I can see over and over there is the lookout.
I don't know what it's taking pictures of.
Go around.
I'm going to get up here. This is not a trail, but I'm going to get up on by this rock here.
Gorgeous. The next place we went was Del Rio, and this is where the book was based. And this is going to be very confusing because we were very confused when we got there. Let me warn you that Del Rio is a very, very tiny town. And when we got there, it was like we were in the middle of nowhere. There was nobody around. And we had no cell service. So like, because my grandpa was like, well, let's plug in the address, you know, to the church, the mission. And we couldn't because we didn't have service. So, but luckily there was this older man who was sitting under a tree in his truck, and my grandpa was like, let's go talk to him. So we went and we talked to him, and he knew the Christy series, and he's like, yeah, actually down that way, a couple of houses down, that's the boarding house that Christy spent her first night in. And so I think my grandpa asked him like, well, where do you live? And he was like, I own that house. And so I asked him if I could take pictures of his house, and he's like, yeah, sure. So I got some pictures of the house. You probably see them right now. But then he pointed out where the train station or depot used to be. It's not there anymore. There's like another building that's in that area, or like where it used to be, but that's not the actual train station. But it was really cool, and you can just kind of imagine, like, if you've seen the series, like, you know, picturing that in your mind, the way, you know, it looked and stuff in the book must have been, you know, you just feel like you're there. So he tried to give us directions to Chapel Hollow, which is where it's Cutter Gap, basically. It's like the real Cutter Gap. So it's where Christy lived, and David had his house, and Miss Alice lived, and where the mission and the church was. He tried to direct us to get there. Across from the boarding house, there's like a church across the railroad tracks. And so if your car is on the right side of the railroad tracks, this church is going to be on your right side, and the boarding house is going to be on the left side, on the other side of the railroad tracks. So you will be leaving town that way, okay? I don't know if that makes sense. Anyways, we turned down the first road we came to, and that was not it. It was like, we went down there, and there was like this big circle, and I just turned around and we went back, and then we kept heading down until we found the road. There's like a lot of signs. I don't remember if one of them actually said Chapel Hollow, or it may say Ebenezer Baptist Church, and that's what you're looking for. Now, the church in the book was not Baptist, but now it is. So, turn down that road, and you're going to keep going. And we kept going and going and going, and I was driving, and I was terrified because that road is like gravel, and you're in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's gorgeous back there, but like there's like hardly, well, every once in a while you come to some houses. I can't imagine what it's like to live back in there. I mean, I would love it, but it's crazy. So finally we were confused, so we just turned off into this one person's yard drive, and we were like, hey, we're looking for Chapel Hollow, or like the church, and he was like, yeah, just keep going, you know. So we kept going and we kept going, and we finally saw this sign that said Ebenezer Baptist Church, and well no, it said Original Christy Church or something, and I was like, well, it's not supposed to be Baptist, but that looks like it. And my grandpa's like, no, that's not it, you need to keep going. And so I was kind of frustrated, but I was like, fine, you know. So we kept going. Finally, you're going to come to this sign that does talk about, like, I think it says Chapel Hollow. I can't remember exactly, but you can turn in there, and you know, the buildings don't really remain anymore, because that was like probably an entire century ago almost. So, but you know, it's really pretty in there. It's like kind of on a mountainside, I guess you'd say. But you know, there's like the signs for like Miss Alice's house, David Grantland's bunkhouse. There's even like the remains of the mission, and then of course there's the stake for where the church was at. They moved it, and that's the sign that we had previously seen that my grandpa was like, no, that's not it, keep going. So so we did find Chapel Hollow, and back in there there's a house that somebody is actually living in, and it's owned by the grandson of Fairlight. And I know that's a fictional character. I think it's the woman that Fairlight was based on. It's her grandson. He owns the property because Fairlight, or the real Fairlight's daughter, had bought the land, I think. Or Fairlight did. Anyways, he has it now and he owns it, and I think they have mills and stuff. He gave me like a piece of paper on it. It was really interesting to get to meet him. He wanted to tell us everything he could, but it was getting really late and we wanted to see the church before it got dark. So then we went and saw the church. We got to turn in there, and they had actually moved it and they've like redone it, so it wasn't like really old-fashioned or anything, or like they've added on to it and kind of, you know, made sure, you know, kept it up and looking nice. So it wasn't, you know, really old-fashioned or anything, but it was still neat to see, you know, because that's the church, you know, that was CHRISTY was based on. And there's even a graveyard. I looked around, there were just a lot of names that I didn't really recognize. Opal Corn Myers is buried there, and she is Fairlight's daughter, I believe, or the real Fairlight. And I did see her grave, and that was really interesting. She had a lot to do with CHRISTY. Even before the show was made, when the book was very popular. The Museum of Appalachia. I had read somewhere that part of CHRISTY was filmed there. And so we drive like an hour and a half when we get there, and the guy behind the desk who's selling the tickets to the museum, I go up there and I'm like, do y'all have a CHRISTY exhibit? And he says, I don't think so, but if we do, it'll be in the Hall of Fame. I was so bummed out. I was like, oh man. Because that's one reason I had gone there. And then I said, well, I said that I heard that CHRISTY was filmed there, or part of CHRISTY. And he's like, no, that's in Townsend. And I was like, you're kidding me. Like, we had just driven that long, and I wasn't going to get to see anything I had come to see. And my grandpa's like, let's go find somebody older to talk to, you know, because this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So we found this older man who worked there, and we asked him about CHRISTY, and he's like, yeah, he's like, we have a CHRISTY exhibit, and it's in the People's Building, so it wasn't even in the Hall of Fame, or Hall of Fame, yeah, I think that's what it's called. And he didn't know about it being filmed, the series being filmed there, but I looked it up and I found a Facebook post by the Museum of Appalachia. It said that the episode of CHRISTY, Echoes, was filmed there. And so we bought the tickets and we got to see it. I got to see the CHRISTY exhibit. It was really cool. If you love CHRISTY, you should definitely go see that. This is the CHRISTY exhibit. Little classroom, poster, calendar, and the article by Zadie Smith. This is the Museum of the Appalachia, and one of the episodes of CHRISTY called Echoes was filmed here. So that pretty much wraps up this video. I hope that this helps you. Preacher David Grantland, or Dr. Neil McNeil. When I was little, I loved the preacher, but as I got older, I don't know how, but now I am a huge fan of Neil McNeil. So I really wasn't disappointed with the last movie. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and give it a like, you know, help, you know, spread the word to all your other friends who are CHRISTY fans, and thanks for watching. I met this kitty at Museum of Appalachia. There was another kitty too. It was white and black, but they're so friendly and sweet. Always rubbing up against me. So cute.